This is another Ridercast 7. This time I'm going to be talking about Kamen Rider Kabuto, or Kabuto, as some people like to say. Kabutops? No. Anyway, so first to start off with the meta information, there were 49 episodes. It started airing on January 29, 2006, and it ended airing January 21st, 2007. The first episode is called The Strongest Man, which makes sense. There's a great little meme, or no, it's in a movie, gosh, heard about it from Sono. That's Sono, Your Face of Uncommon Cast RX. And Laser Knees of the Toe Network. You should check them out. They've got good stuff. Anyway, it was a net movie where Tendou's character says, if he's the stronger, because they're watching Kamen Rider Stronger in a theater for some reason, then I'm the strongest. And he switches from Japanese to English, and anyway, it's funny. So, episode 1 was called The Strongest Man. It was written by Shoji Yonemura. Oh, Shoji Yonemura. Interesting. And directed by Hidenori Ishida. And then the second episode is called The First Two-Step Information. What? It's called The First Two-Step Transformation. Sorry, that was dumb. I totally misread that. And it was also written by Shoji Yonemura and directed by Hidenori Ishida. A fun fact about Shoji Yonemura, he is credited for working on the Monster Rancher anime. The intro song is called Next Level, and it was performed by Yuki. The lyricist is Fujibayashi Shoko. The composer arranger was Cher Watanabe. Interesting. And Yuki is apparently of Rider Chips. Didn't know that. Don't know those kinds of details about the music. As far as pseudo actors are concerned, I can confirm that in this series it is Seiji Takawa who plays Kamen Rider Kabuto. I purposely, well, never mind, doesn't matter. But there were a bunch of Zect troopers featured this episode too, so let me see if I can figure out, if I can scroll down quickly enough to where they are, because I really did want to include them, and I wouldn't be shocked if, I think they showed up to 3 to 6 at a time, and it wouldn't surprise me if they end up being regular stunt people, or if they end up playing other riders in the show, because I know that Kabuto has other riders. Not other riders, just other riders who come into the show. So let's see. I'm still scrolling. Here we go. Actually, anyway. Here we go. The Zect troopers were Hirofumi Fukuzawa, Jiro Okamoto, and Miho Kojima, who I haven't heard of. At least one of them, let's see, only one of them, it looks like, becomes a series writer later on. So, kind of surprised me. I wonder if there's stuntmen who do more stuff in Super Sentai, or they do monster acting, because it's cool that it says suit actors on the writer wiki and stuff, but it never really talks about the monster suit actors, and that's kind of a underappreciated role, I guess you could say. That's all the meta information I'm interested in sharing, so I will go ahead and get on to the premise of Kamen Rider Kabuto. Worms that crashed to Earth when a comet hit and destroyed the Shinjuku or Shibuya? I can't remember. So one of those places in Japan, bigger city type place, I think with a tower, got destroyed. Apparently these worm life forms were somehow on there, and now they are masquerading as humans. They're killing them, taking their identities, and multiplying. To what end, I don't know. But the company Zect, which seems to be a paramilitary organization, possibly a branch of the government itself, I don't know, it's very unclear, has the authority, or has seized the authority unto itself to deal with the threat of the worm and work towards exterminating them through use of little machines called Zectors that connect to belts, which allow people to become masked riders. Oh, it's called the Masked Rider System. How cool is that, huh? And anyway, we've got people in Zect. So only certain people are qualified to be masked riders, or to utilize the Masked Rider System. Kagami thinks he's one of them, and Tendou Souji knows he's one of them because his grandmother told him that one day, yada, yada, yada. So that's pretty much it. Interesting premise. So Kamen Rider Kabuto definitely has a cast. we've got Tendou Souji, who is Kamen Rider Kabuto. He's been training for it all his life. He knows who he is, and he knows way more about the plot, I think, than what's going on, because he seems to be keeping secrets from his sister, and for some reason the show wants to keep... that's Kagami over there in the back. He works for Zect. The show keeps wanting to put Tendou over, or make him look better than Kagami, over and over and over again. So I'm going to do the same thing in this little discussion about it. Tendou and his sister Juka live together, and he cooks for her all the time. She's got a fun, spunky personality. I think she gets that her brother's really weird, but she doesn't care. She just rolls with it because things are good for them, I guess. This is Hiyori. She works at this restaurant that Kagami works at because his work with Zect is a secret. Tendou ends up going there. They have some really weird interactions I'll talk about in a minute. This is Misaki. Misaki works for Zect as well. She seems to be higher in the company than Kagami, and her immediate superior, I believe, is Todokoro. Yeah, Todokoro, there we go. He's like a very stoic, very quiet, serious guy. And yeah, so that's the cast. Their interactions all seem kind of weird. Like, there's kind of natural pairs, which there's Juka and Tendou. Of course, they go together. They're brother and sister. He's her guardian, parental figure, whatever, taking care of her. They have a really breezy, nice relationship, and their conversations are fun. He makes breakfast for her every morning, it looks like, and he tries different things out, and she's... anyway, she seems to be sensitive to the changes that he makes in a positive way. Like, she's a bit of a connoisseur because of how her brother cooks for her, and that's a really fun thing. To Mr. T, the stoic guy, he orders Misaki around. Misaki has a really strong presence. She almost feels like she could be a writer. I'm going to compare her a little bit to Yui, also from Kamen Rider Kiva, one of my favorite Kamen Rider characters of all time, possibly one of my favorite fiction characters. Anyway, she has a very commanding presence. She's very interesting, very cool, and I like her. She treats Kagami with some contempt and disdain, possibly because he's her kohai, or her junior in the organization, for all those of you who aren't as into Japanese stuff as me, as weeby as I am. Anyway, but like, she seems really cool and capable, and I'd like to see more of her. Let's see, what else? And then, of course, like I talked about her relationship with Kagami and how kind of contentious it is. And he's very eager to prove himself in Zect. He also seems to be very eager to prove himself to Hiyori, who he works at this restaurant with. And Hiyori is interesting. She is a bit of a wallflower, perhaps. She's a withdrawn person. She's standing at a wares stand. I'll call it that because these ladies are selling trinkets or whatever, and they totally ignore her, and she doesn't speak up for herself. Sounds like something I would do. But Tendou comes along, and he chides them for being such bad employers or entrepreneurs or business owners or whatever. He's like, "You're ignoring your customer. How dare you?" And then she talks to his motorcycle because it has a nail in its tire, and she pulls it out, and she says, "Oh, it didn't puncture the wall. Everything's fine. But, like, you'll be okay, girl," or boy, or whatever she calls it. And Tendou remarks how odd it is that she won't speak to people, but that she will speak to machines. So that's interesting. Later on, Tendou ends up going to the restaurant that she and Kagami both work at together. She's a cook. It is her first time cooking, and she makes a mackerel miso, I believe. And he compliments her on that. She's thankful to him kicking these rude foreigners out of the restaurant, these gaijin, that are in there. I don't know if they're European or white or American or what, but they're all white guys. So that was kind of funny. They were smoking in there, being loud and stuff, and he kicked them out. It was fun scene. But let's see. So then, Hiyori, like, Kagami really wants her attention. I don't know if it's romantic or just because they're coworkers, he wants to be friendly with her or whatever, but he can't get it. And this is another, so I'm switching to talking about the characters and how they, so, like, I guess overall I'll say, like, their chemistry is interesting. Like, it kind of works. Like, I don't know why. Oh, and then, sorry, when Tendou goes to the restaurant and he has her mackerel miso, he loves it. He thinks it's really good. He thinks it's better than his cooking, and apparently he's a really good cook. So that's pretty cool. An interesting thing about her, or an interesting, I don't know how to articulate it, so I'm just going to skip past it. So Help yourself, audience. But she, well, I don't know, the cast has these interesting interactions, and I don't quite understand them, and I don't quite understand what Hiyori is supposed to be about. I feel like she's going to be a big deal in the show, and I don't know if that's stuff I've absorbed through osmosis from being a Rider fan for like 8 years, or if it's just a sense that the show gives. I mean, her doodles are superimposed onto Kabuto's armor and stuff in the OP, so like, there's another sign right there. And she, Kagami, and Tendou are walking away from each other in the OP as well, as if they're like 3 segments, or they represent 3 segments of the story or something like that, if you can put stock into what the OP has in it, which sometimes you can and sometimes you can't, so I don't know, but it's just the impression I get. But very interesting. I'll pause talking about the cast's chemistry and interactions together to talk about something that seems really strange. I'll go ahead and talk about it right now. The show seems intent on taking everything that Kagami might value and giving it to Tendou. I didn't mention this, but the Zect are little robot bug thingies. So there's a Kabuto Zect, or Zector, rather. The Zector chooses not to go to Kagami when he has the belt on. It instead goes to Tendou when he has the belt in the first episode and in the second episode. And in the second episode, you are led to believe that there's no way that Tendou can get the Zector to him, or that he can get the Zector to come to him, but he says he can't. So it looks like he can't. The worm that he's fighting or confronting seems to have that same understanding that it can't get to him. And Kagami is far away, sort of, and he is all set up to get it, and it doesn't come to him. It comes to Tendou instead. There's a motorcycle made for Kabuto, or the Kabuto Rider, and Kagami likes it. He mentions how cool it is. What's the lady's name? Masaki ends up riding it and taking it to a location, and then later on, Tendou, as Kabuto, gets the bike and he takes it. Kagami wants Hiyori's affection or whatever. He wanted to eat the mackerel miso that she was making. Tendou ate it instead. It's really weird how there's all these strange things going on. And one of the first interactions they have when they meet, Tendou is walking by slowly, holding his that gelatin. It's not gelatin. It's soy-based bean paste in a cube. It's white. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to pause until I figure out what it's called. And of course, it's tofu. Anyway, Tendou's walking slowly by because he doesn't want his tofu to be ruined. And there's this guy who steals Kagami's wallet. And then when Kagami chases him down, he pulls a knife on him. The knife almost slashes Tendou's throat, and Kagami's angry that Tendou is just letting it all not faze him while Kagami is struggling to save Tendou's life in his perspective, or from his perspective, and his own life against this guy who would steal from you and then cut you. So it's a very, very interesting dynamic that I really don't understand. I don't know why this show wants to make Kagami its whipping boy. Like, it really doesn't make any sense. I have no idea who picked this direction for the story, what it means, what it could possibly mean in the future. Why wasn't Tendou worried about his life? And then later on we see Tendou seeming to be distracted and worried by something, perhaps after the worm attack. I don't remember now. Watched it a couple hours ago, and that small detail has fled from my mind, especially talking about all this other stuff. But I don't know. Very interesting, very weird show. And I know this is a little bit of a general talk, but anyway, I'm going to stop now and move on to talking about design. I know I keep saying this, but the design is creepy and wonderful. The worms are just, if you're looking at this, fingers in eye sockets and bared teeth, and I believe there are 2 walking legs that the worms have, and then they have 2 arms that they can move around, and then they have the 2 arms that are molded to their body, shoving their fingers into their eyes, which gives them 6 because they're insects. Now, ironically, the first one becomes a spider, which this is another instance of a spider kaijin monster being the writer's first opponent. There are different spiders. different worms that transmute or whatever into spiders in this episode, and they are all kind of different in their coloration and things like that. But there's a generic worm body you can see, and I don't know. It's very interesting. I love how creepy they are, how gross they are. Kabuto's armor is also insect based, or they're worms, and then you got Kabuto, beetle, fighting against them. And it has two versions. It has this heavily armored version that allows him to fight. He's not super fast or anything, but he's got a gun and like a blade weapon, and he looks really, really cool, and I love it. It's kind of like a spacesuit. He's got like these breathing tubes on his mask. I think it's a beautiful suit. There's an awesome shot of it that when he first transforms, he's got all this fog and haze and smoke around him, and he has all these bands on his arms, and then he does this thing where he casts off and he becomes a sleeker version of that. Now, all of that comes from the Zector, like I was talking about before. Tendou uses the Kabuto Zector. He calls it to him. It flies. I don't know if it has wings or if it just has little rocket boosters or whatever, but anyway, then he sets it onto his belt, and then he transforms. And it's really cool. Seems like a very sleek little system. Although the face of it, I almost wonder if they're using the belt from Fi's, like underneath part, but that doesn't matter. And then he casts off his outer armor, and then he gets the sleeker armor that's more red and beautiful, and it's like Kabuto's main form, really. The cast off, it almost mimics the worm's metamorphosis, which is interesting. And then the worms molt, and they get this sleeker, more deadly, more powerful version, and that's kind of what Kabuto gets again. I'm showing right now the bike that he steals from Kagami or from Zect or whatever. And yeah, pretty fun. I like the design work on Kabuto a lot. We don't get a ton of it in this first episode, but what we do get is pretty cool. It's all sleek, very well put together. So the Master Rider system is neat, and you got this beetle bike or whatever that he rides too. That's pretty fun. And like I said, I think the way that his over armor and then that he casts it off is like the molting, how that parallels the worm. Just, it's delicious. It's Kamen Rider-y. I love it. This is a 35th anniversary show, so they might have been more conscious to make it mirror stuff from the original show as much as they possibly could. So it's time to wrap this up. I'll try to be quick. My overall thoughts on Kabuto, it's interesting. I don't understand why Tendou is written the way he is and why Kagami is this whipping boy. And I basically kind of went all over this already. I like the idea of the Zect organization of the worms. I think it's creepy and kind of scary how they can be anybody. And anyway, it's interesting. I don't really, nobody's charmed me. I think there's some fun, cute things he's done. Honestly, I kind of enjoy how much the show dumps all over Kagami, which I mentioned earlier. It's almost fun. I feel like there has to be a narrative objective to all of that, but I don't know what it would be. Anyway, the scene I'm showing right here is where he gets the Zector to come all the way through the ground and find him underground to defeat the worm. And it's just weird. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. And again, Kagami's getting dumped on in these next few, screenshots you're going to see from the show. I don't get it. I don't know, Hiyori's weird. I'm not really interested in seeing her story develop. Who knows how much we'll see of Misaki. Oh, the most intriguing thing actually to me. So, yeah, I wouldn't rate Kabuto very highly off of these first two episodes. Let me put it that way. But there is something really intriguing and really interesting to me, and it might just be because of my history. There is this man who talks about owls in front of vertical blinds, and yeah. Anyway, I don't know who he is or what he's doing or what his point in the show is. I'm assuming he's a higher up at Zect. First of all, this is a beautiful shot. Just look at the colors. Look at the silhouette. I think that's like some top-notch directing. So good work, Ishida. Nori Ishida? Yeah. I'm not really grabbed by this show. I wanted to watch Hibiki more. Kabuto, not so much. Could be good, but I don't know. Anyway, that's going to be it. I am signing off. I was going to say I'm standing by, but it's a different show. I'm casting myself off. Anyway, that's it. Look forward to the next one. Ultraman, the anime, is coming out on Netflix very soon. If you like tokusatsu, I will be talking about that, reviewing it episode by episode. And that's just going to come out a couple days after this.